Assalamualaikum students. Today our topic is conservation and extinction. And today in this lecture we are discussing about the terms that are the ecosystem, biodiversity and the habitat. Let's start. That are the learning points. State what conservation and the extinction mean. Give conservation and the extinction example. Describe how the species can be preserved and protected. First of all, that is the biodiversity. Biodiversity is the meaning. Biodiversity is my of the range of the living organism within the habitat, and that is known as the biodiversity. Some habitat are the very biodiverse, like woodlands, and the other habitats are the less biodiverse. However, they have less species. For example, snowy area. That some extreme environment have a very limited number of the species, like some desert and the cold deserts also having the less biodiversity. Conservation is the process that protect the organism and preserve their habitat. The way of the conservation is to protect the ecosystem, or avoid the cutting of the trees or destroying of the habitat. This is the method to conserve the ecosystem. This is subsequently maintaining the biodiversity, reduce the risk of the species extinctions, and reduce the disruption to food chain. If we are discussing about the plant species or the animal species, if the one of the member is in decrease or removed from the food chain, they disturb all of the food chain and disturb the ecosystem. To maintain the balanced ecosystem, it's important to conserve the ecosystem by protecting the biodiversity by the process of the conservation. Next, that is the conservation example. The Bornean orangutan as and the critically endangered, and the conservation efforts are the focus on reducing the hunting and the illegal trade and the deforestation of their habitats, and educating the locals and the supporting to rescue center. And there are the other many examples of the species that are endangered species, like when we are discussing about the pandas, and they are also endangered because their survival rate is very low, and they are in endangered species. And there are many other species like tiger, some area that they are in endangered. And the that is important to conserve that endangered species, to protect the species for the future, and to protect them from going toward extinct species. Next, that extinction. Extinct is the name given to the species where are no living individuals left. There are many examples of the extinct species. Some species are extinct in the wild. There are still some individual in captivity. Else other there are completely extinct, while the animals are endangered. For example, tiger and may can be put in place to reduce the risk of the extinction. Like there are many examples of the plants that they are extinct, and they are preserved in the fossils form. So we describe these plants that they are extinct, and there are many animals are also extinct. When we are discussing about the dinosaurs, and they are all the extinct species. First of all, animal in endangered species, and then they go toward the extinct species. So we should try to protect the endangered species, to protect them and produce their individuals, and for their survival. That is important to conserve the endangered species first, to avoid the extinction of these species. Next, that is the extinction example. There are only two northern white rhinos left in the world, both of which are the females, and this means that sadly northern white rhinos will soon become extinct. This is due to poachers hunting them from their horns. And this is there are some for their benefits. The hunters hunt these species, so um, it's important to conserve the species. But when we are discussing about this specific species, they're both that are in world, that both are the female, so this species become extinct as soon that when they become die, and so the species become extinct after both of these female. Next, we are discussing about the gene pools, and the range of the variation in the DNA among us, the member of the same species, is called the gene pool. That the broader the gene pool, the more likely it is to survive. These tiny differences often give some organisms advantages, and makes it more likely they will meet and produce the offspring to pass on their genes. These are all are the gene pools. Next, that is the gene and the seed banks. Seed banks are way to conserve the plant species, and the seeds are stored at very low temperature in secure facilities. This means that the new plants can be grown in the future even if they go extinct, and this is more beneficial to protect the plant species, to creating the seed banks. And the gene bank example, that is the cryobank, that stores the genetic information of the animals in the form of the sperm and the eggs or the embryos. This could support the breeding program in the future. This is a gene bank that is for the animals, and when we are discussing about the plants, that are the seed banks are important to conserve the plant species for the future programs. And thank you so much for your listening. Keep watching, and Allah Hafiz.